Hey everybody, welcome to Goots' Wrestling Pod. I'm your host, Ray Goots. And you know, right now Andrew Lee almost had an international incident, and in July of 1996, so did the WWF. It's in your house international incident. This happened the same month as Bash at the Beach 96. And Andrew, before we continue, I know every month we vote who had the better show. Let's just go ahead and say it. WCW had the better show this month as well.
Um, what was the
It was
yeah,
Bash to Beat 96 with our best friend Hulk Hogan.
I mean, dude, that's not even a comparison. There was gonna be a hands down, it's like a hands down win. Dude, I don't even count it. It just can't count. That was such
Yeah,
a great
so
pay-per-view. That was such a great pay-per-view. No matter what pay-per-view WWF would have had in July, even if it was a WrestleMania, I think WCW would have still won 100% hands down.
yeah.
So
Well,
this
right
is
now
almost
WCW is winning the war 2-1, and we'll have more to say about that in the days ahead. But it's in your house, international incident. I thought this was an okay show, though. I didn't think it was the worst. What did you think?
it was This is no, this was not a it's not a okay, it's not like a garbage show like Bunkhouse Stampede, but this is not what like you're just you know what it looks like? I felt like maybe they saw what happened at Bash the Beach and they were like, we're not even gonna try. Why try? And that's
Well,
what
I
it felt.
think I think also the other thing is Warrior fucks them, and they have to bring back Sid. Um, and I think that kind of deflated the plans because Um, I think they were gonna put. I think this show is supposed to put the Warriors' plans, like actually move the Warrior more into a more prominent role in the major storylines. And then he fucked them. He fucked them
Yeah,
by.
but if that's the case, which is most likely true, what is the excuse for the rest of the card?
Well, I no. I'm saying like I think yes, Bash at the Beach said we shouldn't even try. We can't compete. But I also think Warrior also like I think Sid was a good replacement, but I think at the time Vince was like, "Ugh, I have to bring back this guy that I don't really want to bring back, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it feels like Sid's just like a substitute, you know,
Yeah.
but it
But
ends
he
up
he
being
winds up
a
becoming a big
really good
star this
substitute.
year. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's you know what it's like. Yeah, clearly he's using him as a like a sub, and like it's like on a Knicks one time they were having a game and they're already down by a lot, so they brought in
Mhm.
Jeremy Lin. They were like, yeah, let's give this guy some minutes, right?
Mhm.
Let him just play, and then he ended up like killing it, right? That's
Yeah,
what it's kind of like. It's like Sid's brought in as a replacement, as a substitute, just like a space filler, and he ends up being. It's not just him. It's just that the fans' reaction to him. People love Sid, and when I watch Sid, there is I know exactly what it is about Sid that um because I watched ahead, guys like Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko lack.
hmm
I'll explain it later on. But I'll point out a little bit here. But also, this is not like a fair pay-per-view comparison because in your house, like it's like a mini pay-per-view almost, right? It's like an
yeah.
hour less. It's
These
not
are
a
supposed to be like
major
the
pay.
discount pay-per-views.
Yeah, it's like a discount pay-per-view. Exactly. So it's not like a hardcore pay-per-view like Bash at the Beach. So when I was comparing the numbers, I didn't even compare that to a WCW one. So yeah, let's talk about it. In your house, not the ninth in your house, which is international incident. 2 hours of hard hitting, high flying, heart stopping, pow driving action. Heart stopping. What the fuck? I don't know. I don't know why that was a tagline. Heart stopping. He wanted someone to die. Is that what they
Yeah,
wanted?
it's gonna
Heart
be always in a
stopping.
few years.
Yeah.
Assuming that.
So this takes place July 21st, 1996, in Vancouver, Canada. 14,804 people Canadians are all in attendance. 99,000 pay-per-view buys. Let's do a little comparison with just the in your house pay-per-views, okay? So, um the seventh in your house was 165,000 pay-per-view buys. The eighth one was 116 pay-per-view buys. So, if you're looking at the in your houses, the numbers are kind of going down. right, per pay-per-view for In Your House. But the next one after this one's going to have actually a higher pay-per-view count. It's going to be 131 pay-per-view buys. So 1,000 pay-per-view buys. So I'm not sure what the jump comes for Mind Games, but
Maybe Mankind getting a title shot.
oh, that's look at
That
that,
has
man.
to be it because that's a
That has to
pretty
be it then, right? Yeah,
that's a pretty
that,
shitty card. Besides that,
okay. Yeah, I don't know what I don't even know a single match in that card, but if that's what you're telling me, it makes sense. I mean, that's a 30,000 pay-per-view jump when the numbers keep going down. So
can I give you three other matches that are on that card? JBL versus Savio Vega. I don't. These are the matches I remember. Undertaker versus Goldust again,
ugh.
and Jim Cornette versus Jose Lothario. So it's got to be the Mankind.
Wait, I don't know. People love Jose Lothario versus Jim Cornette. That sounds like a money match, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what this tells me then? Because it's
I
okay.
think it tells you that the main event matters.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lineup right now, right? And yeah, these are all garbage matches except for the main event. But it's telling me two things though. It's telling me that number one, Mick Foley actually is a draw, right? Mankind, the character, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, whatever you want to call it, he's a draw. Number two, Shawn Michaels is not. Because it's
Exactly.
Shawn Michaels, he's the main event in all of these, right? And the numbers are just consistently going down per pay-per-view. You know?
Shawn Michaels is what I call a great DVD wrestler. What I mean by that is, if I give you a DVD of Shawn Michael matches, you're going to have an incredible 3 hours. But at the
Mm,
time, nobody gave a shit. You, if Shawn Michaels, if Shawn Michaels stuck around '98, I don't know if I would have gotten so into wrestling. He's the guy, and like you, when you look back, you're like, oh, these matches are so good. But I mean, like watching these things in real time, there's nothing about him that's more, besides his work rate, he is very unlikable. He's very unlikable. He kind of makes wrestling seem like, I don't know, there's just something weird about him, like the stripper thing, and he's supposed to be this good looking guy. He's got this weird attitude. And I think Vince trying to sell him as a sex symbol, but it's mainly little boys and men watching the show. It's a very weird vibe from him that I'm not enjoying, and I'm enjoying WCW more. You know, work rate
that's a good
isn't.
point. Yeah, I don't. You're right, because if you're looking at it from you're right. The matches are good, but if you're watching this real time, like I don't. The stripper thing is really weird. It's very weird. It's very off-putting,
Yeah.
and yeah, it just doesn't flow. And that's yeah,
It would be better. He's better as a heel because then it's like arrogant. But when he's a
yeah,
face, and he's still arrogant. Like he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's a piece of shit in real life, and it's coming through, and it makes him being a good guy very inauthentic. Which is why the Sid title win in a few months is so magical because the fans turned on Sean because they see him as phony and they see Sid as authentic, which is
yeah,
who he is and what Sid is who Sid is. Shawn Michaels is a fucking phony.
yeah.
Mhm.
So for commentary for this pay-per-view, we're gonna have Vince McMahon Jr., Jerry the King Lawler, and Jim Ross. This is the first time we're seeing this kind of like this group of men in the commentary team for the pay-per-view. And this is going to be like a standard moving forward, but this is the first time we're seeing it here,
A little
right?
bit, yes. And then Vince goes away. Yes.
What do you think about this lineup? This Jim Ross, Jerry King Lawler, and Vince McMahon Jr.
I mean, I would shoot someone to get this trio back nowadays at WrestleMania. Like
Yeah, yeah,
the commentary is so bad. Michael Cole's gotten a lot better, and he still stinks. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, I like them. I kind of wish Vince had a period where after like Austin like beat him down and The Rock humiliated him. Shane put him back on commentary. He had to be a commentator for a few more months again. Because he's very underrated at it. I used to get very annoyed by him, very very annoyed, and I found these shows hard to sit through. But now he's made every announcer after Jim Ross worse, including the AEW announcers are somehow worse than this man. So now he comes across as more authentic than a lot of the other announcers.
Yeah. All right, so we get a cold recap of what's going on with Jose Lothario and Jim Cornette and Vader and Shawn Michaels and their confrontation that happened at the Free For All, which is the pre-show before this pay-per-view. What is that figure in your hand?
Oh, that is Leatherface from Texas
Leatherface?
Chainsaw.
Oh,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, brother.
yeah, yeah. What do you call it? I thought it was a wrestling figure. All right. So let's go to our first match. It's a non-title tag team match. We got the tag team champions Smoking Guns coming out with Sunny in a very sexy cowgirl outfit. Tag titles are not on the line, and they're going to be facing Sunny's
Yeah,
former.
why even at this match the tag titles are not on the line?
You know what though? I always hate this, but this is something that they do even today, right?
But I'm okay with it happening on Raw or Superstar. Like I guess back then it was Superstars, Raw or Superstars or WWF Mania. But happening on a pay per view, like what does it matter if the Body Adonnas win? Like I don't know. It just seemed like a waste of a pay per view slot. It just seemed like we got to get Sunny on it. We want Sunny on the pay per view. But like then why not? The Smoking Guns win anyway, so why not put the titles up for grabs?
Yeah, that's a very good point. You
It's
know,
just
like
stupid if it's a
it's
non-title on pay
stupid.
per view.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, regular TV, who gives a shit? You know?
Oh wait, no, 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 no. You're wrong because the Smoking Guns don't win. That's why it was non-title.
Oh, they don't. They don't win. I thought they won.
They don't win. No, no. But it's we'll get to why they don't win. But anyway, yeah, the Body Donnas and the Body Donnas. By the way, if you guys are following what's been happening with this storyline, so Sunny used to manage them and she left. So the Body Donnas were like, we're gonna get her back. We're gonna hire Cloudy, which is like a transsexual dressed up like Sunny, but they realized it was not only was in bad taste, but it just was stupid. So they Body Donna's cut a promo basically thanking Cloudy, but like we don't need you anymore. But bye, thank you. Right? They're kind of explaining her away. You know what? I do appreciate that they did that. That instead of just like going like just disappear like they did in Family Manners, to that one daughter, they actually explain how like, oh okay, yeah, we don't need you anymore. Bye. Like that's kind of good at least to do that, you know?
Oh yeah, no, that's good because I feel like nowadays they just wouldn't have her around.
Yeah.
They just
During this,
one day on either show, the Body Dons walk out and they wouldn't, they wouldn't even mention Cloudy ever again.
yeah. So during this promo, one thing I noticed is that um not only watching these back made me realize Chris Candido really wasn't as good as people thought he was in the ring, right?
Mhm.
Not only
Yeah,
that, he was not good at promos either.
no.
He does that thing where his eyes are just darting all over the place. He's not even
You
looking at the
see Vince
camera.
like kind of give the cue to hurry up.
Yeah,
Kind of talk
yeah,
over him for a second.
yeah. He just like I don't know. Maybe it's because of what happened when he gets there, but he just doesn't have like you could tell he lacks confidence when
Can
he's
I tell
there.
you the worst thing that ever happened to him was
Meeting
meeting
Sonny.
was meeting someone. Was
Yeah,
meeting.
meeting Sonny. Yeah,
I don't know if his life ever. I don't know. I think he'd like still be. You know what was sad? You know what was sad about this match is they do a spot where he breaks character to check on Sonny, and I felt like that wasn't done to forward a storyline. That was more done to like make fun of him.
yeah. Let's actually get right
The
into it.
worst.
Okay.
I would go as far as say he wouldn't be dead if he never met Sonny. He'd be
Can
like
I
a
ask
coach.
you? Let me ask you a hypothetical then, based on the scenario you just told me. You just brought up. Do you think Chris Candido would have made it to WWF without Sonny?
Yes,
You think so?
yes, and I think he would have been given a better treatment.
I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that. He's small.
But
He's
he
very
had a
small.
lot of allies in powerful positions, and they would have got him something. He had a lot of everyone in wrestling liked him a lot, and that
Okay.
goes a long way sometimes.
All right. That's a fair point. Okay. So let's actually just jump there's a lot that happens, but I don't want to get into it because it's not that good. But let's actually jump to the part you're talking about, okay?
It was the
Because
saddest thing I ever saw, bro.
it is pretty sad. So I'm gonna bring the listeners up to speed. So this match is happening. Sunny's a heel manager for the Smoking Guns, and that Ross calls her a Jezebel. This is the first time I'm hearing Jezebel. I think that Jezebel, and when he says that, Jerry the King Law's like Jezebel. It's like what the fuck? Such an ancient term. You know who?
Yeah, he said it so often now. I feel like a lot of people say it because he said it now for like years.
Yeah, exactly. But this is like the first time you're kind of hearing it in WWF, and we're right now Ray and I we're not really talking positively about Sunny, but if you watch this match, she is basically the only thing that's over. It's not.
I think both of them would have made it without each other.
Yeah, but it's not the Smoking Guns that are popular with the crowd. It's not the Body Donnas. Dude, there's a Buns of Steel chant. They go, Buns of Steel, Buns of Steel. People are chanting Buns of Steel.
See, dude, but because she has, and then again, this is something that you can't teach that Sid had, Warrior has. It's not just that she's sexy. She has so much charisma, and she has so much, and it was never really tapped. She has so much natural ability, natural charisma. She has more charisma than most of the women. Like right now, she was in NXT right now, and she learned how to wrestle. She would be main event WrestleMania against Charlotte, not Tiffany. Like if she could have wrestled and she was around now, she'd be the biggest star they had.
Yeah, yeah.
She just has something that you can't teach.
Yeah, but she's right now probably going to be the biggest star in the Florida penitentiary that she's going to be in, Dude, she's going to be over in the prison that she's currently staying in. Yeah. So, like I said, we're going to go to the spot that Ray's talking about. So, she's a heel, and what happens during this match, Sunny does a pretend collapse at ringside. Like she pretends to get hurt and falls down the mat on the ringside, and Skip, who's not affiliated with her at this point, remember she's the manager of the team.
That suggested these two have fucked on camera.
Yeah, they never remember they never made it seem that Sunny and Skip had sex or they're a couple, and Zip is also there too, but Zip doesn't come over to check on Sunny. It's only Skip who comes over to check on Sunny, who's collapsed. And when Sunny gets up with his help, she turns and slaps him in the face, and then he gets sneak attacked. They get sneak attacked by the Guns. Now, you have a theory on this. Can you repeat your theory on this? Why do you think they did this spot again?
Because it's a rib on him that he is a fucking cuck for her. And Vince had no respect for him because he's a cuck, because Vince knows that she's fucking Sean at this point. And I think they want to humiliate him because they don't have respect for him. And Jerry Lawler buries him on commentary too. Jerry Lawler says something to the effect of, some guys think that they could get with a hot chick, and they're like, it's basically like, this guy could never get with Sunny. And
yeah, say that.
You can say that, oh, it's all good fun. He's a heel, you're a face. He's supposed to say you're ugly. This doesn't lead to a story. This doesn't lead to anything. I think this was put in to humiliate him on pay-per-view. That's all it was for.
And obviously this is just a theory, but to support Ray's theory, here's something else that happens in this match. Jim Ross, who is a professional, is trying his best to put over the Body Donnas, because if you visually, this looks like a terrible mismatch. The Smoking Guns are giant and they're muscular, and then you got the Body Donnas who are both smaller than the Smoking Guns, and they're also a little they're a little flabbier than the Smoking Guns. It doesn't look like there's any chance that they're like, why would this match even happen or be competitive? And JR is going, the Body Donnas, I know they got the size, the Smoking Guns have the size advantage. The Body Donnas are the quickest tag team in the WWF right now. And Junior goes, no, it's not. It's the Godwins. They're not even involved in this match. And he goes, no, the Godwins are the fastest. It's like, and Jim Ross is, Vince McMahon, who owns his company, he basically he owns the Body Don as his own product. He doesn't even want to put them over when they're being put over. So that kind of leads to like, that kind of supports what you're thinking.
At this point, the Chris Candido's on TV as a favor to Sunny because Vince wants to keep her happy because he's discovered I can make money on females now, and that was his goal from the time. And this Sunny's the start. No matter what anyone wants to say, and these women can talk all the shit they want about Trish, Lita. If Sunny didn't get over, you wouldn't be seeing Charlotte and Tiffany in the main event of WrestleMania this year. You wouldn't have seen Becky versus Ronda versus. Sunny is the one who proves to Vince I can make money on women, and he wants to keep her happy. But it ruined Chris Candido's life. Dude, Chris Candido is an example of you have to be careful who you fall in love with. You have to be careful. He's falling in love with her ruined his life. It really did.
You know what else ruined this match? Bart Gunn. Bart Gunn stinks. This is like the match where I really saw the difference between Bart and Billy Gunn. Now, the other matches I've seen the Smoking Gun so far up to this point, you can't really tell because they're both, but Bart stinks in this match. There's this point where the Smoking Guns are doing a draped backbreaker spot, like where they drape the guy on the ropes, and then the other guy is supposed to leap over your tag team partner holding the legs, and you're supposed to land on his back. They fucked that spot up, and I think it's because Bart didn't crouch down, so Billy couldn't jump over him, and the crowd laughs because it looks stupid, and Billy looks pissed the fuck off. He looks so annoyed at Bart for that, and after that point, Bart is kind of like he mistimes another attack, like it does, and he just seems kind of lost at times. So I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're just like not, and like Billy's at least acting like a heel. You're not really doing that, and you're just kind of seem lost. Anyway, Billy does, like I said, he's really the star of this match. Besides Sonny, he gets kneed in the balls, and he does a good job selling the knees to the balls. And then Zip, he's the one who starts making a comeback, which gets no reaction from the fans at all. The referee, who is Harvey Whippleman, he is distracted by Bart. He's distracted, and Bart has Zip in a sidewalk slam. But as he turns around, Skip climbs up the top rope and then missile drop kicks Bart. And as he does that, Zip, who was in the sidewalk slam position, falls on top of Bart for the cover and the win. The Body Donna's win, which is probably why this was a non-title match. This is a terrible opening match. I gave this a C. This is not a good way to start the show. But I guess that's why it's a good way to start the show, because Sunny is starting it. I don't know.
Yeah, so later on, and I didn't even look, and we can't go back to fucking Netflix. Oh, I'm so annoyed. But I watched Raw. My family has Netflix over here, so I watched Raw. By the way, I love Raw. I love Raw being on. So it's on at noon over here because of the time difference, right? I love that. I wish they should just stay in Europe. WWE. I love like wrestling is so much better when it's on at noon. But when it was over, I decided to see what they have in the archives. Do they have barely any episodes? We used to have every episode of Raw. I'm so far anyway. But they have an advertisement where I guess Ahmed Johnson and Shawn Michaels are having a mini feud with the Smoking Guns on Raw, and it was mainly about Sonny. And I'm just like, bro, they should. You know what, dude? I like Jim Cornette. Sonny should have been the one managing Vader and all these other guys against Shawn. That would have been a lot better. Man, I wish I could go back and watch that to see how Sonny's interactions with Shawn and Ahmed on the show. You know, Ahmed fucked her too. You know
that. Supposedly, Sonny denies that though.
Well, yeah, well, she knows, but
yeah, but Sonny. Okay, here's the thing about Sonny. One thing I will give Sonny credit for. In the later half of her life, where she's doing is interviews and stuff, she has admitted to a lot of things that don't make her look good, right? Like she's admitted to like fucking Shawn Michaels behind Chris Candido's back. She's admitted to like being super racist against Puerto Ricans. But when somebody brought up Ahmed Johnson, she was like, "No, hell no." She was like, "No, not into that."
Dude, I gotta admit, I full disclosure, I used to be friends with her. She was a very nice person. So it's so funny, like she was such a nice person, and like everyone out. Like I met Seth Rollins, he was a dick. What was I gonna say about Sonny and all this shit?
Did you
Shit.
ask her? Did you ask your good friend Sonny? Hey, did you fuck? How big was Ahmed Johnson's
I
dick?
was going to, and then she got arrested for murder. You know, I was going. I said, "Can I?" I said, "Officer, can I have a? I need a second." Like, no, we gotta take her away. Honestly. Maybe I'll visit her in jail and ask her about Ahmed Johnson. Be like, it's like, oh, Goots, thank you. So lonely here in prison. Hey, did you fuck Ahmed Johnson? You can tell me. Um, shit, I was gonna say something about Sonny and Ahmed and all these people.
Yeah.
Fuck.
First off, who says that they had sex? Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, you know what like is a good episode of the Something to Russell episode about Sonny. I think it's the last time Bruce is like very very honest because they got a call from the WWE after that show because they were pretty upset with some of the stuff Bruce said, and he had to like because he admits that he knew about Sean. And he also says he's the one who said, I know Candido would have had a better opportunity here without Sonny. So, and he was Vince's right hand man. But that's a good have you ever listened to the Sonny episode?
No, no, I did not.
That's the only time Conrad has said that WWE calls it. What the fuck? Why are you guys saying all this shit? Like they never bothered him before or since. So it's a good one.
Okay, I'm gonna have to listen to that one. I'll check it
Yeah,
out. All right, which one is that? That's the something to wrestle with about Sunny.
about Sonny, yeah. But they
Okay.
also go into Chris Candido because it's basically his story as well. But
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
like he admits that he knew about the Sean stuff. I think.
yeah. Number one, you can't talk about one without the other, so I totally get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're saying Bruce admitted to it or Chris Candido admitted to it?
What the Ahmed thing?
No, because Chris Candido, when somebody has brought up to him that, hey, did you know Sonny was having sex with Shawn Michaels while you guys were all there?
Oh no, no. Bruce knew about it. I don't know what he. I forget what he said about Candido, but he did say that Candido, the way he was perceived in the relationship with Sonny, fucked him with Vince. So
Yeah. Uh-huh. All right, I'll check it out later. But we got to get back to this. We got Mr. Perfect in the back. He is with Camp Cornette, and they're recapping what happened at the free fall. Everyone's there, including the old lady Diana. And Davey says, normally she's out here in the front, but she looks fucking old today, so she's staying in the back tonight. So I was like, good, yeah, keep her in the back. I was like, dude, she aged like she aged like a full year in this 1 month span of like the last pay per view. It
dude,
just we
but she has the presentation. And there's already too many people out in the ring anyway. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So let's go to match number two. It is Mankind versus Henry Godwin, who comes out with Hillbilly Jim. They keep telling us on commentary this was actually supposed to be Jake Roberts. It was supposed to be Mankind versus
yeah,
Jake.
he got arrested at the very last second, and they had no one. They were like they literally like had no one, so they had to just give it to Henry Godwin because he was like the only guy sitting there. So
Wow, what did he get arrested for?
probably being Jake the Snake, or he
Uh,
either that or he couldn't go over the border because he had drug. I don't know. There was something they were very very annoyed because
yeah,
they knew that Jake and Mankind was a good attraction and this wasn't. But what could you do?
yeah. Um, so what do you call it? Ross starts putting over Mankind. Ross is so good on comments. This is like prime Jim Ross commentary.
Everyone
Like,
Ross is putting over is going to be he's right about. Everyone that he is like putting effort into getting over, he is right about.
yeah. I mean, the way he puts over Mankind, it's like, this guy's missing a right ear. And, look at him. He's got like spots of hair missing. And I'm like, when I was a kid and they used to show you the close up of his ear and stuff, I thought that was the grossest thing. I used to be like, oh, God, look at this. It's like a nub. I was like, it's a nub. And I used to think they were like, um, it was, it was good. It made him look like a psychopath. He had like legit like patches of hair missing on his head. And
Mm-hmm.
like Jim Ross is pulling over, he's pulling it out himself. That's why it's like that. And I'm like, yeah, well, you see it. I believed it. I fully believed it. Um, So, Mankind's beating on Godwin, and he is typical Mick Foley. He goes outside, he exposes the concrete, and he does a neck breaker on the concrete. And it's just like, man, that's so unnecessary, but yeah, do what you got to do, man. Um, there's a point where Henry Godwin, Mankind gets on the apron, and Godwin just grabs him from the apron and just throws him down on the concrete. So he's still like, I was like,
Yeah, I remember I got to that part and I'm like, dude, that's like his default when he knows he can't get a good match out of somebody. He's like, just throw me on the ground.
yeah, yeah, and which is a really bad handicap because it's like and you know what? To be fair, Mick Foley is he's not a Bret Hart or a Shawn Michaels, so he had his own way of getting the match better. I get that, right? Because he's admitted to that. I can't make it look. If I can't make a match good by my technique, I'm just gonna be like, all right, well, throw me on something really hard. Right?
Yeah, but
Or
like,
I'm gonna
but
fall
like
really
nobody,
high.
but that's a cheat because you're willing to ruin your life. No one else is.
Of course, it's like, you know what it's like. It's like a comic who they don't know how to make this joke better, so instead of like trying to rework it and retool, they're just gonna throw a whole bunch of f bombs in there.
Yeah,
Let me add cursing to it to make it better, and that's kind of, you're right. It's a cheat. It's a crutch, but you got to work with what you got, I guess.
you got
Mankind,
to stay with me.
uh, Godwin tries to go for the slop drop finisher. Mankind avoids it, and then he puts on his mandible claw to win the match. Better than the opening match. I gave this a B. What about you?
I didn't think much of it, and then when he fell on the ground like that, I'm like, here we go. Like, it just seemed very a forced moment, and I don't blame Mick Foley because he thought that he was going to have Jake the Snake. He might have had a different match planned out, and you can't have the same match with Jake that you would with Henry Godwin. And also, it's like, people, no one's going to buy Henry Godwin. This guy just beat the Undertaker, and Henry Godwin was a tag wrestler crying over Sonny. So no, so it's like it's an insurmountable task anyway for Mankind, but I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, you have a very good point that he's not going to have the same match with if you're thinking Jake Roberts and then this happens, yeah, well, you got to work on the fly and it's not going to be the same. I get it. It's very good. Now I know we just spent a good portion of the beginning of this talking about what they did with Skip and Sonny, but we kind of have to revisit this. So after this match, we got Brian Pillman. He's on the hotline.
Oh
He
yeah.
can't wrestle, and so the hotline is separated into two areas: one for the good guys, I guess, and one for the bad guys. And Pillman, who is a bad
Oh, I
guy,
forgot about
he
this. Oh,
he is manning the good guys hotline with the body Donnas, while Ray Rougeau, who's a good guy commentator, I guess, he is manning the bad guys hotline. So he's got the smoking guns and Sonny. Now we can't hear what's happening over with the Rougeau and the smoking guns and Sonny, but we can hear Pillman, who's with the body Donnas on the phone, fake talking to fans. And Pillman looks right at the camera and he goes, "These guys over here, they're not motivated by anything else but Sonny. They just want that TNA. They just want a double teamer." And you see Skip look over at him, and Skip has to act like, dude, like, don't like Skip has this look of like, dude, like you can't insult us like that, but he can't say anything. He can't do anything about it. He has to act like he's making that face, but he's still fake talking on the phone with a fan. And I was like, man, they're
the
just like,
story of his life, man. The story of that fucking guy's life. Can't do
yeah, they're just,
anything. Just sit there and take it.
this is, and Pillman didn't do it on his own. He was probably told to fucking do it like that.
Yeah.
This is why Junior, Vince McMahon Jr. is such an asshole. Like, you didn't, how many times on one show are you gonna rub it in this fucking guy's face, right? It's so fucking bad.
They're gonna rub it in as much as they can because I think Vince wants him to go, and Vince doesn't want him with Sonny. Vince wants him to like be humiliated and run away crying, so he can give Sonny. I think, and you saw this with Rusev. Vince has a problem. If he doesn't think you deserve the woman you're with, he'll do what he can to like remove her.
Wait, I have a different theory I want to throw with you on that. So a long time ago, there was a story that Jericho and I think Kofi also told where Vince McMahon Jr. insulted Kofi in the back somewhere, said something insulting to Kofi. And Chris Jericho went up to Kofi, and like Kofi just let Vince walk away from that. And Chris Jericho went to Kofi and said, "Don't fucking just let him do that to you. You don't understand. Vince McMahon is testing you. He wants you to do something about it. He wants to see what you're gonna do about it." And so, taking his advice, Kofi later on went and he fucking confronted Vince about it. I heard another similar story where Vince McMahon was in the back and he was, Mr. Perfect's son. What was his fucking name? Um, Curtis Axel. Remember Curtis
Yeah,
Axel?
yeah.
Supposedly he was standing in the back and Vince McMahon walked and he just started stepping on his shoe. And Curtis Axel just kind of looked at him, and then Vince looked at him, and then kept stepping on his shoe. And Curtis Axel wasn't doing anything, and he was like, and Vince was like, "What, are you gonna do anything about that?" Like, and he got all really annoyed at him. Do you think Vince McMahon Jr. was constantly shitting on Chris Candido to be like, "Are you gonna do something about it? I want you to react." And the fact that he didn't do it, that the fact that Chris Candido didn't react and didn't like do what
He did
he
react.
thinks
He
somebody
did
needs to
react.
do.
He would react in the back. He would have like meltdowns. I think he didn't have respect for the guy. He didn't have respect for the guy. He was stuck with this guy because of who he was fucking. He
Okay.
did. One time he got into it with Gerald Briscoe. He was reacting. He was getting mad, but he was getting mad like a little bitch, like not like a man, because he wasn't a man.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe he wanted him to react like a man, but he's not reacting like a
He could, because ultimately, from what I could listen, Chris Candido was a good hand. I heard he was a great trainer. Probably could have wound up being like he probably could have wound up being like the head producer, like Tyson Kidd is right now. But he was completely fucking. He was head over heels with Sonny, and he couldn't think straight. And I think no, especially back then, no man had none had respect for him because of that. You know,
I tell you what, Chris Candido so far is the star of this podcast.
we
we spent,
really we
yeah,
are
we spent
examining Chris
so much
Candido
time.
more than anyone else. You
Yeah,
know what it
but
is? Because you know what it is though. I gotta be honest. If because he's very young. He's like in his early 20s. If I had a girl as hot as Sunny in my early 20s, I probably would have been a bitch just like him for her. You know,
yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
unfortunately.
But let's talk about the real someone who's gonna go on to be a real star. Match number 3, we got Stone Cold Steve Austin versus a future real star, Wildman Mark Merrill. No, that's not the real star. It's Sable who comes out with Wildman. And for this match, if you guys remember what happened at King of the Ring, Mark Merrill kicked Steve Austin in the face, and he got a cut lip, and he had to get stitches that really added to Austin's aura. But they show you a recap of this, and one thing I noticed about this pre-plastic surgery Sable was gorgeous. She really fucked up her face, doing like fucking around with it. But before that, she was, oh my god, dude, she's way face like the face wise. I think she's so much more pretty. She's prettier than Sunny or anybody else. She's prettier than Miss Elizabeth, dude.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. Um, yeah, Jared King Lawler, by the way, putting over the split lip and how bad it looked and everything. They show Marlena and that weird usher that Goldust used to have. They're in the back chatting with fans in the AOL room. I love shit like that. It's so funny. They're
Nobody like
they're
everyone, including Clarence Mason, like will get some like nostalgia, like interest. I've never heard. I never heard anyone talk about the Usher. Like
yeah,
the
but
Usher.
this guy is like still around. I thought they got rid of him like Cloudy, but no, he's back. He's
Mhm.
chatting with fans. So during this match, because they played up what happened when Austin get kicked in the face, they redo that reverse victory roll spot, and Austin fakes getting kicked in the mouth again and an eye injury, and Mark Merrow kind of goes check up on him, and fucking Austin eye pokes him, and then throws him out like shit cans him out the ring, and then this actually he starts posing and fans start cheering for Austin. That was the funniest thing because he's a heel, but he's already getting over. He's already like, we like this guy. Um, he catapults Mark Merrow into the ring post, and he just started beats on Mark Merrow, and as he's beating on Mark Merrow, Marlena and that Usher they come down to ringside, and um, they do this in this match. I think this is another reason why Austin starts not liking Mark Merrow because in this match, another really dangerous spot almost happens. There's a point, I don't know if you saw this part where Austin kind of lifts up Mark Merrow and they kind of go there. They look a little off balance and Austin starts walking, like he starts going backwards and he almost dumps Mark Merrow over the top rope. And it looks bad, but they kind of adjust and then they both kind of go over the top rope and land on the floor by Marlena and Usher. Luckily that wasn't a disaster, but it could have been real bad. And the Marlena and Usher in that spot, you see the reason why they did that spot is because when they fall down right by Marlena and Usher, so the camera's there so that the viewers can see the Usher give a gold envelope to Jerry the King Lawler. After
Yeah,
that,
they're setting up Goldust Marrow feud.
Yeah, that's gonna put the asses in the seats. So Mark Merrow hits a moonsault off the apron on Austin onto the floor, which gets booed. People are not into Mark Merrow, and Mark Merrow gets crossed on the top rope, and then Austin hits the stunner to win the match. You know, even though Austin doesn't like
Weird
working
stunner, huh?
What?
It's a weird stunner the way he did it, right?
Yeah, and even though these guys don't like get along or Austin doesn't like it, to me they still have good chemistry. I think this is a B match. Like that's not bad. What did you think?
Yeah, I love this match. I think the only thing I heard it was Marlena and that idiot in the Usher costume. But other than that, like I thought it's really good. They do have good chemistry, but you can definitely tell. You can definitely tell Austin is gaining confidence and Mero is losing it.
You
He's
think
not the same
he put a
guy
little,
from 2 years before.
you think he put a little extra oomph into that stunner?
Well, I think the thing Austin like did not figure that out yet. If he kept it like that, he would not have gotten over. It's so funny how like not doing the kick just does not make it look as good. Like the kick is like that was the secret ingredient, man. Just that was the little thing because it looked very awkward. I actually thought Mero was going to kick out because I'm like that looks like shit. There's no way that's going to be the finish. And then it was, and I'm like, oh, this guy hasn't figured out what he's doing yet.
Yeah. I think you're right. The kick adds so much to it. You know what? The kick and the middle finger. You need the middle fingers.
It's these
Yeah.
little touches. It's because it's not just the move. It's these little touches that anyone can do and make the move work.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. That's the thing about wrestling, and I'm gonna speak about it too when we get to Sid. It's not about the moves, it's about the little things. The little things make the moves better. Okay.
The little uses.
Yeah. So after this match, we got Bob Backlund. He's still with the company
So,
and he's in the crowd arguing with Canadian fans. I don't know what Bob Backlund's doing at this point. He's not really actually wrestling. He's just doing
he's
stuff.
running for president stuff.
Yeah, he's running for president in Canada. Todd Pettingale, he's still with the company as well. He's hyping up the Smoking Guns versus Ahmed Johnson and Shawn Michaels on Raw the next night because those are the top two baby faces at this time.
It would be nice to watch the Raw, but it's not on Netflix. But whatever.
Yeah, but we're gonna move on to our fourth match. We got Goldust coming out with Marlena and the world famous Usher versus Undertaker, who comes out with Paul Bear. Goldust is scared of Undertaker, so he stalls for a very long time, not trying to get into the ring. Finally gets into the ring. He uses the referee as a shield. He gets hit once by the Undertaker, goes back outside and stalls some more. Goldust eventually gets caught by the Taker. He gets choke slammed on the steel steps, but then he stalls some more, and then Taker picks up the steel steps and he slams them on Goldust, and then he picks up steel steps to just kind of throw it down on Goldust, but Marlena shields Goldust, so Undertaker's like, I can't throw this on a woman, so he puts it down and he starts beating on Goldust some more in the ring, and he exposes Goldust exposes a turnbuckle, and then Goldust reverse Irish whips Undertaker into that exposed turnbuckle, and he drops the steel steps on top of Undertaker on the outside, which gets some boos, and then they keep fighting some more. Taker goes for a tombstone, and Goldust kind of messes up the reversing of it. So there's this point where Undertaker has Goldust in a tombstone position, and Goldust is supposed to reverse out of it and do something else. But while he's reversing it, he fucks up, and Undertaker's pro wrestling instincts kick in, and he quickly turns that into an inside cradle for 2. And Jim Ross is like, I don't think I've ever seen Undertaker ever do an inside cradle. I was like, you know what? Nobody has at this point. It was very weird. He busted out like a really good wrestling move in the middle of this match. But
Yeah.
it shows you how Undertaker is. Like, people at this point, yeah, he's doing that slow, methodical wrestling like he's a dead person, but he could actually wrestle. Like, if he's like somebody fucks up, he's like, oh, quickly do something else to cover it up, you know? It's very interesting. All right, so Undertaker finally does hit the tombstone, but he's very slow to cover Goldust after hitting the tombstone. And there's a reason why. He's getting into positions for Mankind to bust out from underneath the ring. And what do you call it? He uses box cutters. Mankind uses box cutters to cut the ring and get out of it, and he like breaks up the cover, and he puts the claw, the mandible claw on Undertaker, and he drags him underneath the ring. The referee kicks the box cutters away because Mankind left it in the ring. Just like he kicks it away, and then Mankind climbs back out of the hole, and then smoke starts coming out of this hole. The lights flicker, music starts stopping and starting again, and Mankind staring at this hole, going like, "Where's Undertaker?" And everyone's like, "Rest in peace." And then Undertaker rips another hole out the other side of the ring, comes out that hole, and then he attacks Mankind. He fights the back. Not only does it's weird because Undertaker and Goldust don't really have good chemistry, in my opinion. I don't think they work together well, and this ending is so like to me, it's so hokey and shit. I don't like this. I was a C minus. What did you think?
Yeah, it just felt like it was an angle. I think Undertaker and Goldust have 3 pay-per-view matches this year, and I think whenever they do, it's like a signal to be like, we're just wasting a month to build to another angle, and that's what it felt like. It felt like these guys are just out there to kill time until they hit the Mankind angle, and it's like, and I guess it's because Vince doesn't want to burn out the fans because they do Undertaker and Mankind have 4 pay-per-view matches this year, and Undertaker and Goldust have 3. So if you can't do it every month, I get you have to take a break. But at the same time, it doesn't lead to anything exciting, you know. So it was what it was. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing, you know.
Yeah. I think so far though, this is the word that to me, this was the worst match on the show so far.
I would say Mankind, Henry Godwin.
I think
So far.
yeah, okay. To me this one was worse. Okay, but okay, that's great. It's okay. So we get a SummerSlam Olympics commercial, which I really liked.
It's very, very much Vince's humor. It's so
Yeah,
fun
yeah,
now that Vince is gone, you can see when stuff is like made for to make Vince laugh. You know?
yeah. By the way, so you know what's funny is like they gotta fix the ring because there's 2 holes in the ring, right? So they're killing time, and the commentary team is talking about what just happened, what did we just witness, and during this point, where the camera is focusing the commentary team, a fan puts a Burger King crown on Jerry the King Lawler's head. You see that? And he gets annoyed. He gets fucking mad
And then
about it.
security comes.
Yeah, yeah. And then security, yeah, he screams for security, and then the security guy actually does come, and he's just like, "Hey, kids, settle down." It's funny. Um, but during this, while they're talking about what just happened, they go, "Oh wait, we got to cut to the back." You see Undertaker and Mankind fighting in a boiler room in the back, and that's gonna lead to something later on. We get a recap of Shawn Michaels' issues with Camp Cornette, and then Gorilla Monsoon, who's the president of WWF, he goes, Ultimate Warrior has been suspended because he failed to appear at 3 shows that he was advertised at. This is true though, right? Like he actually did.
Fair
He actually did no show, 3 shows or something.
excellent
Right?
show. Yeah, this
Yeah,
isn't bullshit.
yeah. This isn't bullshit. This is like this is like Gorilla Monsoon is a bullshit president. He's not a real president of this company, but this is actually what really happened. He did no show. Why did an Ultimate Warrior no show?
He claimed that his father died, and Bruce Pritchard was like, "But you weren't close to your father. In fact, you hated your father," which I don't take that as. In other words, even if it's true, you shouldn't go to your father's funeral because you hated him. I don't buy that. I think whoever your father is, if you have a bad relationship with him, I think you should be able to take time off to be there for your dad or to be there to handle that emotionally. Um, but I think the implication was that he was lying about his father, that his father didn't die, or maybe he died like months ago. But he kind of fucked them, and they made him like pay the money, like an appearance bond. It got very, very weird, and finally ultimately I was like, fuck this, and it's like fuck it. And honestly, I think Vince was like, this guy was annoying. I probably shouldn't have brought him back. Okay, that's not true. He tries to bring him back after Montreal. So even so Vince wasn't done with him, but I think Warrior was more I think Warrior more so was done with WWE. But Vince does try to bring him back after Montreal to kind of like have something to give the fans after he fucked over Brett. I don't know where Warrior would have fit though in 1998. I don't know what he would have done.
I I'm definitely on. I don't like Junior, but
Yeah,
I'm on his side in this. As I mean, I'm on his side for this. I mean, that is kind of like your job is to show up, and yeah, I don't. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I wasn't there for the arguments, and I wasn't there for what Warrior said to Vince about his dad, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you give a heads up, if your father dies and you call your job, like my father's dead, I need time off. I think you should be able to take the time off.
Okay.
Um, but if Warrior like didn't show up and they couldn't get a hold of him, and then months later, weeks later, like, my dad died, I'm depressed, and he had said, and if he had said in private to Vince and Linda, I fucking hate my dad. He's a piece of shit. I don't care about him. I understand, but again, I wasn't there. It's hard for me to say because I wasn't there for it. I'll say this: as a fan in '90, I would have preferred in 1996 if they tried to keep the Warrior. That's me personally. I wasn't watching, but he might have been able to get me to rewatch earlier than he did. As a fan, I would have tried to make it work. I totally get why he didn't. Ultimately, he didn't need the Warrior, so it all worked out, you know?
By
But
the
in
way,
'96, I would have wanted to see the Warrior more.
one other thing they do is they show you a recap of Camp Cornette beating on Warrior on Raw. So like that kind of also explains why he's gone. He got his ass kicked too. Um, so because Warrior is out and he's suspended and he got his ass kicked by Camp Cornette, Shawn Michaels
I'm
needs a third
surprised,
man.
by the way, Warrior agreed to get his ass kicked.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I was like, oh, he's getting his ass kicked by like 3 guys on Raw, just getting his ass kicked. And I was
Maybe he's like rationalizing, well, there's 3 guys, so they could do that to me.
like, you know what? Yeah, 3 guys. I missed 3 shows. It's a guy per show I missed. I'll allow it. Um,
Maybe they lucked out and then they filmed that before he no show because maybe the only way I can see Warrior Green is like oh yeah, you'll get your heat back, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. Yeah, maybe they got lucky and filmed it before he no showed. You're right. But anyway, the point is, Shawn Michaels is down a man. He's missing a third man. He needs it. So they show you Shawn Michaels revealing who the third man is, and it's Psycho Sid. Um, And this is all a recap, by the way. So Camp Cornette, they're not happy about this, and they ambush Shawn Michaels. And there's this point, that's like a Raw, I guess, where Sid drives a car almost like into people and comes out in the back and he saves Shawn Michaels and Ahmed Johnson when they're getting ambushed by Camp Cornette.
I like
Um,
that moment though.
it
He was
looks
like a
cool.
lunatic.
Yeah, it makes Sid look like a lunatic, but it also gives that sense of urgency, like, holy shit, these guys are getting their ass kicked immediately. Because like that would happen in real life. Somebody will fucking crazy drive like that, right up to
Yeah,
people. to break up a fight if their boys are in it. Doc Hendricks, he's with so after that, we're back at King of the in your house, and Doc Hendricks is with Shawn Michaels, Sid, and Ahmed Johnson. And everyone's cutting a promo. Everyone takes turns cutting a promo. Sid does a good one, but after Sid, Shawn Michaels has to get one more thing to say because that's what you got to do. You're the top face always says the last thing, and Shawn Michaels knows. But what I like though is when that's happening, Sid like kind of like because like Shawn Michaels almost cuts him off a bit at the end and throws in and Sid kind of like makes like I forgot you're the top guy like kind of but he you the thing with Sid though is like even though he's not saying anything you can't help but like notice him. He's just like the camera, he draws attention,
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. By the way, also at this point, I don't know if you noticed this, but when they were doing a camera shot of Sid and they're doing a close up of Sid and they're kind of doing it where the camera's down looking up, you see the cutoff of the backdrop. The backdrop that they have, they're doing the backstage interview. You can see like the top part is like where the cutoff happens. You've never seen this before, really, in WWF. This is like a WCW, like amateur hour shit. And it's like, this is like a time period in WWF where they're just like, little things like this that they're just like, they're slacking and stuff like this. And I think this is, something's happening.
They're shook. They're shook. I really think like the rise of WCW shook Vince more than he let on. He's shook and he's out of his game.
I think that's a fair point. Yeah, they're off. They're off. Vince McMahon is definitely off. So let's go to our final match. It's a 6-man tag match. Shawn Michaels comes out with Jose Lothario first. This is an iconic scene, actually, if you're watching, where Shawn Michaels is like
all the video packages for Shawn saying how cool he was.
It is cool though. Shawn Michaels is walking down, and he is popular despite what we said about him earlier. He is still popular, and fans are legit reaching out to get just like a little piece of Shawn Michaels, and their pressure makes the rail fall and break down, and all these fans spill out and they fall at his feet. Jerry the King Lawler can't stop laughing. He's laughing his ass off at that, which makes it even funnier, and which is it's a cool scene. That definitely is cool. And then Ahmed Johnson comes out next, and Ahmed Johnson, now that the Warrior's not there, he's like, I'm gonna start wearing those airbrush jackets, right? Which I thought was funny as hell too. And then Sid comes out, and then we get Vader, Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith. They come out with Jim Cornette. Owen Hart still wearing a cast, so he's wrestling hurt, I guess. Vader and Shawn Michaels, they start the match. Good exchange between the two. And Shawn Michaels even does a plancha on the outside, and then it looks cool, and he tries to do it again, but the second time he does it, he ends up eating the guardrail. So yeah, good exchange between these two. They actually, Shawn Michaels, he's a good wrestler, so he could bring the best out of Vader.
It can be good when he wants to be.
Yes, very good, very true. Sid comes in, and Sid is super popular with the crowd. People love him as he cleans up the ring. Ahmed Johnson comes in and he hits some terrible looking German suplexes. He's like dropping Owen Hart like on his right shoulder instead of flat on his back, right? Like these are terrible looking German suplexes. And Owen Hart, I don't know if so. Okay, you let me know what you think. Maybe this was an accident, but when Ahmed's in there with Owen and he's doing those German suplexes, because of the way he's rotating, he's dropping Owen on his right shoulder, and it's not feeling good. It's probably annoying. Then Owen, he whips Ahmed into the ropes, and he does a spinning heel kick, and he kicks Ahmed right in the face, and like he really hits him, and you could tell it's a real hit because Ahmed is out and Owen starts hitting him and he's just not even selling. He's just laying there. And then he like slowly kind of crawls over and he tags like Vader in, and then he's just like, He's sitting like he's standing in the like on the apron, just like looking down, like he got like really fucking kicked in the face. Do you think Owen really kicked him in the face on purpose, or was that like an accident?
I think Owen kicked him in the face on purpose. I think
Okay.
Ahmed would hit people for real too hard, and I think in a match like this, where there's if this is an important match, Owen can't get injured. Like Owen can't be like I can't wrestle anymore, and then So I think Owen hit him for real to be like I can fucking hit you for real, you fucking idiot. Stop.
Yeah, it took him out of the match fast. Like he just like tagged out. And he was just like laying there. He just like head down on the apron. It was pretty funny. But anyway, some more interesting stuff happens in this match. Vader's in there with Shawn Michaels, and he has a kind of like submission lock on him. And all of a sudden, a fan gets into the ring, gets in like over the barricade, and he gets up on the top rope. Like he gets up on the apron and he gets on the top rope, and then Davey runs after him to try to chase him away, and he comes down. That was crazy. I don't know how that fan got that far in, but it happened. And
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. The
yeah,
security guard seemed overwhelmed by the guy with the Burger King helmet, so I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, he was too focused on Burger King helmets.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be
Anyways,
surprised if this overwhelmed him too. He was like, Jesus.
yeah, so Shawn Michaels gets beat on by everyone for a while. Sid tags in, he starts choke slamming everybody. Shawn Michaels hits Vader with the tennis racket. So Shawn Michaels gets tennis racket from Cornette. He hits Vader with it for a 2. Then he tries to go for the sweet chin music, but when he's in the corner tuning up the band, Jim Cornette holds his leg, which allows Vader to run and squash Shawn Michaels in the corner. And then he hits the Vader bomb to win the match. Afterwards, Ahmed Johnson and Sid attack afterwards, and Shawn Michaels dives onto Vader on the floor so that the good guys stand tall. However, it doesn't change the fact that Vader did pin Shawn Michaels. Good ending, good match. I give it a B. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. It's something that again feels like something that would be better on Raw. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, you still there?
Yes.
Okay,
Wow, what's
it
going
feels
on?
like something that would be better on Raw. But I enjoyed it. It sets up the main event for SummerSlam, which is the more important match, the more important show. However, I will say that you're not going to compete with you're not going to compete with WCW with this match. But I enjoyed it, and you know what? It's a good reintroduction of Sid. It's a good reintroduction of Sid to the company and to the fans, and I like that too. This finally sets Sid on the path where he should have always been as one of the top guys in the company. And Hogan ruined it in '92, and they never made Seal a face against Sid a face again in WWF. But now he should have always been a face. People love him. People want to love him, man. And
Yeah.
he earns the belt. When he gets the belt at the end of the year, he earns it.
So after this match, we get a little extra Coliseum exclusive extra. We got Doc Hendricks. He's in the back with Gorilla Monsoon and talking about SummerSlam. That's the next big pay per view coming up. And he
Yeah.
goes, we just saw Mankind and Taker fighting. We can't contain them in the ring. We're gonna have a boiler room match. I'm booking a boiler room match for that. And all of a sudden, Jim Cornette and Vader, they interrupt. They go, "Hey, we want Shawn Michaels. All right, we want Shawn Michaels." And that's how it ends. So overall, I would say this is not a pay per view worth watching.
No, because you can kind of just watch a recap for the two sets up the two big matches at SummerSlam, but if you just watch a recap at SummerSlam, it'll get you the same.
Absolute agreed.
Yeah. So WCW now leads. Remember, the month to month since May of '96, WCW leads 2-1. 3 months in, 2-1. WCW has taken the lead against WWF. All right, that's the show. I would agree you skip it. Let's go over what's going to happen the next 4 weeks, Andrew Lee. Next week, it's Hog Wild 96 with Vader versus, I'm sorry, Giant versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Then in 2 weeks, it's SummerSlam 96
So
with,
it's Hog Wild versus SummerSlam.
yes, SummerSlam 96 Vader versus Shawn Michaels. Then in 3 weeks, it's Fall Brawl 96 with the NWO versus WCW and War Games. And then in 4 weeks, it's In Your House Mind Games, Shawn Michaels versus Mankind.
So
Uh,
in your house mind games versus fall brawl. We're
Yeah.
gonna be interesting.
yeah, what are you looking forward to?
Probably SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam will be interesting. I never saw that Boiler Room brawl, so I'm kind of curious
Oh,
about
that's
that.
pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited for Hog Wild. I never saw Fall Brawl. Mind Games, that match is good. I never really rewatched it. So those are things I'm kind of excited about. Oops. I gotta be loosey with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's the show. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy the podcast, leave a comment in the YouTube section. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, all that bullshit. And we will see you next week. We're gonna get wild. We're gonna get hog wild, Daddy. So we'll see you then. Until then, he's Andrew Lee. I'm Ray Goots. Bye, bro.
Bye.